Today is the day to do all the planting, and I mean all the planting. Now I've got to check the root system. Some of these might not be ready to go out, but everything that is ready to plant today will be planted. It has been such a dry spring. In the last 6 weeks, I think we had 2 light rain showers, neither of which was enough to soak more than half an inch into the ground or so, so it really didn't do much of anything. But starting tomorrow, we're getting a solid week of rain, which is fantastic, but that means that today is the day to get everything in the ground. Now, just about everything that I have in here, all of those things and a few things, actually see over my shoulder right there, that is a shelf behind the greenhouse. Those are my Lysianthus, I think. With this incoming rain means it's also super windy today. So I'm in the greenhouse now to check on the seedlings and also because of the wind. But let's have a look at what I've already managed to do today. So in addition to all of the weeding, I've weeded pretty much the entire yard, including some dandelions that always seem to pop up in these wood chips. I've been spreading manure on the upper garden. I put 2 bags on each bed. A lot of these I'm going to direct seed some vegetables and get them ready for some vegetable starts or transplants that I have in the house. But knowing me, there's going to be some flower overflow in there as well. I also picked up some gladiolas on sale at the hardware store last week. Now I have 500 of them on order, which I need to check on because those should be shipping shortly. But these were $30 for $10, which is a pretty good price. That's almost the same as what I paid wholesale. They were on sale. So I stuck those into the old cold frame, which doesn't have a lid on it right now, just because I didn't have anything planned for that space. So I might as well take advantage right now while I figure out what to do with it. And I think what I'm going to do now is water the seedlings in here and then figure out where things are going to go. These asters, I'm sure, are not ready to go out, so they're going to stay right there. Then these 2 trays of snapdragons are border snaps, which means they are really short growing. They're going to be transplants that I sell at the farmer's market, so they're staying put. These ones I don't think are quite ready. These are cutting snapdragons, but they're not quite. Some of them maybe. I think I might give that a bit more time. This status, most definitely. That is going to get planted today. I have a few asters right here too. I don't think these are ready to go out yet either. No, I'm not seeing any roots come out the bottom, and I don't want to tug on the plants themselves to see, so I'm going to leave those. Same with these. These are a lot smaller. There is some status that can go out. These are calendula. These can be separated and put outside as well. I was a little unsure about this status. I think it might go out today as well. Let's check the roots on those. Oh my, yes. All right, that status is going out. Beautiful. Okay. So that's 3 trays for sure. Now the beauty of soil blocks is these can go out pretty much any time. They've been out in the greenhouse for a week with the doors and the windows open, meaning that they're getting wind and everything, so they don't need any hardening off. Let's check on the straw flowers. There are some roots. Okay, so I guess those are ready too, technically. I have some sweet peas down there, but I don't actually know where they're going to go. Oh, shallots and onions, that can go out today. Okay, so I think I have a plan. First thing I'm going to do is bring the onions and shallots up to the upper garden. I'm going to plant those, and then I'll take those cut flower transplants out to the front, and I'll show you that area. So I just realized I said I was going to water these, and I didn't, but that's okay. As long as we can get them out of the trays, they'll be just fine. So with onion sets, it is not necessary to start them in trays like this. You can just take them dormant and stick them right in the ground, and then they will grow roots and foliage pretty quick. But you might hear or see all the bird action behind me. We have a ton of birds that live and feed in the woods, and we also put up some feeders back there as well. And birds can be notorious for pulling these out of the ground. I don't know if they think they're worms or insects or just like messing with gardeners, but either way, I had a free tray and I picked up the onions 2 weeks ago. So it was a quick and easy job for me to stick them in here and get a head start. And this way they'll be harder for the birds to pull up out of the ground too. I'm gonna put the shallots in first. This is just an organic pelletized thing. It's derived from chicken manure. Just going to put a little bit of that on the soil before I plant. That's promising. Gorgeous. I love shallots, but it's been a couple years since I've grown them. I went so crazy on flowers last year that I didn't do a lot of my normal veg. But I really missed it, so I need to make sure that I prioritize some veg this year. And I think it's like this everywhere, but things are getting so expensive at the grocery store that we really do need to be growing at least some of our own food. You know, it's surprising, considering we've barely had any rain in 6 weeks, that there still is quite a bit of moisture in the soil. Now, you might remember that these 2 rows were the rows that were tarped. And when I took off the tarps, there was quite a notable difference between these and the next ones over. And that is a benefit of having clay in your soil, is it's really good at holding on to nutrients and moisture. I'm not an expert, but I'm pretty sure the rule with onions is burying them about half. I think I might have gone a little bit deeper on some of these, but the soil will likely settle in the rain, so it should work itself out. Onions are planted, and that only took about 2/3 of the bed, so I'm gonna go and get that spinach and that cilantro next. All right, I found lots of things. I found spinach, cilantro, I found some sweet peas, and calendula. So in the past, I've pretty much planted these rows with one thing all the way to the back, but it just doesn't grow quite as well in the back, so it's a perfect spot for some of these things that can handle shade a bit more. And the spinach is likely going to be here most of the season because I find it doesn't bolt in a location like this. I'm going to break this up into 2. If they flop a little after you plant them, that's just fine. It'll sort itself out. This is the first year that I'm not planting things like parsley and cilantro to sell. I used to do almost a full row of both of those things. Cilantro was definitely my best seller, but still not enough to make it financially worth it to bring them to the market. So all the herbs I'm planting are mostly just for us this year, except for the perennials, which are going to go into my edible bouquets. And actually the calendula is going to be for that too. So I think it's, whoops, these were definitely not well rooted, but we'll just have to wait and see. I think they should be okay. I love the smell of calendula. I can't even describe it. The plants themselves tend to be a bit sticky. There we go. Now the plants can get pretty big. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, I have 6 in this clump and 6 in this clump. Let's see if we can get them split one more time. There. I'll put the first 2 pretty close. Calendula are very hardy too. I've had flowers on mine survive nights around -5, that's Celsius, 5 degrees below freezing, into December, and look just fine. They might suffer a little bit if they're, because of the little bit of damage to their roots, but they should take off pretty quick, especially with the cool, rainy days coming ahead. There. So that is one whole entire row planted in the veg garden. I'm trying to keep this upper garden mostly to vegetables this year, and you know, those few ornamentals towards the back of the rows. But we got shallots, 3 different types of onions, white, yellow, and red. What did we do next? We put cilantro and spinach and calendula and sweet peas. That's going to be really great. And we managed to empty 1 big tray and 3 little trays. So there's the row we just planted, and I decided to stick the last of the calendula right here. There's a little space between these scallions and those aquilegias, so I stuck 4 little clumps right there, And the rest at the end of that row, I have about 2 feet of space right here, and I picked the biggest plants and planted them individually on their own. And that means that our first 2 rows are completely full, and this is the old cold frame where I stuffed the gladiolus. So that one is done too. There is job 1, and I know what you're all waiting for. You want me to plant flowers. I know. So let's go grab those next. Oh yeah, I forgot to water stuff. I guess I better do that next. Can you guys hear that? We have hawks and bald eagles back here. I think those are hawks. They're making all sorts of noise. Oh, there's one. So I've taken out all of the status, but I think I'm going to have to do an awful lot more if I want to make room for more things in here. Well, that's a little better. And it's a little better in here too. It is so windy out, and it's starting to get cold too, but here is everything that I am going to plant. We have straw flowers, bupleurum, pennycress, status, and some ammi. We're pretty good for weeds in this bed now, mostly because I keep pulling them as I see them. But I have a feeling it's going to take a lot of time this summer to keep on top of them. So this is where the larkspur ended off. And all I've got left are these straw flowers. You see that white sheet behind me? That's where I was covering some sunflower seeds. I took a chance and stuck some sunflower seeds in the ground 6 weeks before our last frost date. Because you always see volunteer sunflowers popping up in the spring, and they never seem to be bothered by frost. So I thought I'd stick some in there on purpose to see if we could get some super early pro cuts for the market this year. I'm still not convinced that we're going to get a lot of productivity out of this bed. You might remember last year this was a complete fail, and I thought the soil was bad, but I think there was just no organic matter in it whatsoever, even though I did pay extra for garden soil rather than topsoil. So I'm not holding out hope that things are going to do amazing. If this whole area is a total loss, it won't be a big deal because I have most of this stuff, I have more of it in the back as well, except for the status. I'm also going to be ready to do a little extra feeding just in case. Done. Oh my goodness, am I glad to be done. When I say that, I say done planting because did I mention, I think I forgot to mention, I've been harvesting tulips today. We have the first cut flowers of 2023. I did pull some tulips. I'm looking at them now. I see I have a lot of daffodils actually that are ready. So I'm going to pull some daffodils to go with my tulip bouquets, and the first subscription bunches are going out tomorrow. I just went in really quick and grabbed a bucket. I just want to make sure that I get doubles, and these seem to be doubles. Lovely. I'm just reaching down as far as I possibly can right at ground level and giving it a pull. I have a few bouquets going out tomorrow, and the rest go out on Thursday. Ooh, that one's lovely. There we go. Last ones, and these are not going in the buckets with the daffodils. I have a separate bucket for these. This is just our back porch. It tends to stay pretty cold in here because it's not heated, so these guys will be just fine in there. Not bad for the first harvest of the year, and I only need 3 bouquets tomorrow, so that will be plenty for that. Ah! Excuse me. Here's a new one.